Hey guys, welcome back to the Board Pod.
Episode 8.
Yeah.
On our way to 100. Let's go.
Love the enthusiasm.
It's going so fast. I feel like it started last week and here we are at episode 8. So
Aw.
today we've got a packed agenda. What are we going through, Von?
Oh, well, I mean, I think as much as we try and not become like an AI-based podcast, I do feel like AI is driving a lot of different things. So we want to make sure you guys are ahead of the curve and hearing the different things that we're learning along the way with that. And then I had these just different questions that I was asking Sam, being like, oh, if we weren't doing the agency, what would we be doing? And I just thought I was really curious to know where we were going to go with that response. So I thought we thought we would share our responses with you guys. And then finally, this was another good one as well, because I feel like whenever we're planning out our week, there's obviously things to do, but there's also that time where you're in research mode and you're trying to figure out, where you're going to go with a creative strategy or an idea. So I wanted to hear from Sam, because we have different ways of doing things. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about your research process, and then also hearing a little bit into where my brain goes with that too.
It is. Let's kick straight into the AI conversation, because I think coming into 2025, we have kind of agreed that we need to be on top of this so that we can ensure the future of our business is secure and that we're ahead of the curve and not getting caught out in 2 years from now and I guess left in the dust. So there's been some big news in AI this week. If you haven't heard, DeepSeek came out, which is a Chinese AI company that has launched a model for free that is basically ChatGPT, which we all have to pay for at the moment if you want the most recent model. And it's taken the world by storm. Like, it is number 1 on the App Store right now. It is crazy. What do you think, Von?
I mean, I said this to you just before the podcast started, but I cannot believe that they were about to ban TikTok in the United States. And then here comes DeepSeek, which is so much more, I guess, like intimate in terms of prompts. And like, I just think, I don't know. My brain went straight to America and thinking like how they're going to feel about this. And
Security concerns. The alarm bells are going off like crazy. It's just the timing is impeccable. It's like 20th of January launches their new model. It's better than ChatGPT. They built it for $20 million.
In total?
Yeah, like they've spent $20 million on this thing versus ChatGPT spends billions of dollars to build the same model. It's just...
Same.
There's something not adding up, but it's exciting. I think NVIDIA lost like $600 billion in market cap overnight when this thing came out, because it was like, do we really need all of these computers to build the AI models if they can do it for $20 million?
Wow.
So the arms race is on.
Yes. It's going to be a very interesting, I guess, race between, I believe, America and also with China in terms of who is going to just be able to capture everybody, or maybe it will be a little bit fragmented and people will use different tools depending on what's best for them.
I think what I'm seeing now come out is, and more where this conversation is going, it's the underlying models and building the models, which we've been really exposed to, of like these LLMs and different models that are being built. That's just going to become like the internet. It's like, it's free, everyone can get on top of it and use it.
Yeah.
And then that's the infrastructure. But then it's like, okay, what do you build on top of it? And that's where we're starting to see these these bots coming out, where you can actually like create AI agents in your business. And what an AI agent is basically a model that does tasks for you. It doesn't just give you information, which we're probably the most familiar with now, of like, I ask it a question, it tells me the answer and synthesizes it and it writes for me.
Yes.
It's like, okay, I tell a bot to go and, I don't know, fill out a form for me and then collect a bunch of quotes from different providers and then come back to me with the best one that works for me and the timelines and doing that engagement.
Yes.
I think that's where we're going, which is crazy. The opportunity is just mind-blowing.
I'm excited. I can't wait for that to be, I mean, it already is unfolding and unraveling as something that's going to get adopted quite rapidly. I think it comes down to even everyday life. So for example, if you want to book Italian for dinner in the middle of Sydney CBD, and you don't know what time, what plate, like you don't want to go through that hassle of trying to figure it out, you can instruct this AI agent to go and source all of that for you and be able to almost like do that entire task on your behalf. It's absolutely extraordinary. I'm so excited.
It's going to be so good for you, because you're just going to be able to go, hey, give me a cafe that sells Eggs Benedict within this remit.
I love that.
It'll be able to search the menus. You don't have to go and look for them, because Von won't eat at a cafe unless it has Eggs Benedict.
That is not true.
It is very true. It's like you go to a restaurant and you sit down. He's like, what drink do you want? And you may want the same drink all the time. When we go to a cafe, Von looks at both sides of the menu for food and goes, I want Eggs Benedict. Every single time, without fail, an almond cappuccino, extra hot, and an Eggs Benedict.
I feel like a very, like, I don't know, just wise grandma living her best life with my Eggs Benedict and my coffee. And yeah, if you had to ask me what my favourite breakfast is, sure.
Eggs Benedict.
Look, if the AI agent can make that my life path from there onwards, then happy days.
Yeah, and it actually played into something that happened to us last week? This week?
Last week.
Last week. Yeah. We actually got someone who inquired to our business. I had a chat with them and got to know how we could help them. And then at the end, I was like, oh, so how'd you find us? And they're like, oh, ChatGPT gave me your business. And I was like, huh? That was like a penny drop moment for me. I was like, okay, this is actually going to play a bigger role in discovery than I always knew it was coming. I just didn't realize how quick it was coming. Yeah. And so this discovery process for businesses is massive. Your business is going to be found through these AI bots and models going forward. And so how do you make sure that you show up there? And I went and did a lot of research, which we'll talk about research and how we did that in a bit. The way the model finds you is it searches for content on the internet and synthesizes it back. It's not just your website. It does index your website, but it also looks for other external sources for validation. And so it just like, from that, I've gone and inquired to a bunch of places to help increase our awareness and our content on other pages to improve our indexing into the AI models. But it's just that reminder of like, okay, how are you showing up online? Not just on your website and on your Google profile, but where else are you showing up? And so for plumbers, that might be, okay, what ranking systems are you in the local pages? Or how are you showing up on organic search as a ranking, or recommendations through Facebook groups? And that organic Facebook strategy that we've spoken about for Third Row, it's like, how do we get more into organic groups so that indexes into the models? And so exciting.
Yes. Super exciting. I think, yeah, a huge, I guess, exciting opportunity that everyone should start to consider and begin to think about how they can adopt that for their own business.
Yeah, so if you're looking for an action to take away, go and find the 5 things that are websites that are closely related to yours that are, I guess, providing the information that you solve. How can you be there? How can you play there? Do you need to advertise there? Do you need to improve your profile? Do you need to add content there and contribute there as a member of the community so that you're the chosen voice when it comes to the synthesis of these models so they train on your information?
So cool. Yeah. And of course, like as we unravel it a bit more, there might be a bit of a winning formula, but I think overall it's just about that echoed voice, right? Like I think like Google, it's always trying to figure out what will be the most relevant for the customer. And so just really thinking about how you can reach all of those touch points for your
just
brand.
Give a lot of value and answer their questions. It's not a gimmicky, we're trying to hack our way to get that placement. It's like, just give what people want and you will rank well.
Exactly. And I think that's just what we exist is like helping people with what they want. And so that's why we were able to come up.
Yeah, so, and it comes back to almost like businesses where people are like, oh, get rich quick. It's like, no, just help people and charge them fairly and you'll have a very successful business.
100%. Oh, I agree with that so much.
And so that's a bit of it's the same in this game. And so really exciting. I'm excited about it. DeepSeek is changing the game again. I'm really excited to see how this changes the speed in which we build these models and cost, and it should reduce the cost in the business. And so the faster this AI race is ramping up so much quicker than it was already quick. And now it's like, okay, let's go again. It's a step change faster, and it puts pressure on the American tech companies to do it better. And they love to compete. So watch this space.
Funding, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So let's see what they do with that now that they can see that there's other contenders trying to take the pie. We were also chatting yesterday, one of the team members one of the, I guess, users of the co-work space and also a good friend of mine, we were chatting yesterday around, that we would have been doing Vonnimedia, whether it was cool or not. Like what we decided 5-6 years ago was always going to be the choice, and whether if 1 million people were doing it or if 10 people were doing it, this was something that we were going to do no matter what.
It kind of hit if we think about what we offer, it's the 2 things that both of us love joined together.
Yeah, it is, which is really special that we do it together today. And so it got me thinking when I thought, oh yeah, we would just be doing this, like no matter what, which is obviously very comforting that we're in the right place and doing the right thing. And then I started to think, okay, well, let's imagine that the agency didn't exist and that we weren't, running all of these services for brands. what would we be doing? And so that kind of opened, the box around other career paths that we would have taken had we have not done this. I'm curious to hear from you if you want to start. I can obviously talk, but I want to know where you think you would be.
I feel like I've had the pleasure of having about 7 careers in a very short period of time. You know, they say you've got 7 careers in your life. Yeah. I feel like I did that in like my first 10 years of working. And so I was like civil engineer, project manager, management consultant for operations and strategy, marketing and sales strategy, and now into performance marketing. Obviously all business related, and also as a kayak guide. Like I've just done some really random things, which I think has been really helpful for my career. What would I be doing if I was at this point right now and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I would probably go into either product management in a tech company.
Okay.
In the sense of like, it's basically like running your own business inside of a business because you're responsible for what the product is, how you sell it, what do customers use it, getting the teams together to actually build it. Like it's basically building a business inside of a business.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting. And I think it's a really good pathway to getting the skills to run a business yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Or I would probably try and get into the private equity space. Private equity is incredibly risky. Private equity, if you don't know what private equity is, it's the activity of getting money together, buying up a business and then loading it with debt and using that debt to then turn the business around and then paying off the debt with the cash flows of the business. And then in 5 to 7 years, reselling that business in a much healthier space than what it is now, and then getting a much larger return on it. And that's how you make money in private equity. You take that money, deploy it, buy businesses, turn them around, resell them. Somewhere between that $5 to $50 million a year, a $5 to $50 million value of a business, but using other investors' capital to do it.
Awesome.
So that's probably what I would do. I feel like it's in and around the same area of what we do now, but probably slightly different variants if I wasn't in a marketing agency or a consulting remit.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. It's interesting. All business though.
Yeah, all business for sure because it's fun. It's like playing
it's a great
sport.
game to play. Yeah, it is. You don't think you would have been a professional soccer player? Or?
Oh no, I gave up that dream at about 16 when I realized how hard it actually was. I found we call them, way in my head is like, how far can you stretch? And like, where's your boundary? And in professional sport, I found my boundary. I don't think I've found my boundary yet in business. So maybe when I find the boundary in business, I'll just go and do my retirement goal, which is to become a high school math teacher. And so that will be my next boundary to give back and teach and help people at school.
That's so lovely. I love that you have that, just heartbeat for that next generation and teaching them maths.
I don't know about you, but did you ever have a maths teacher that kind of either made or broke your ability to love that subject? It was so teacher dependent. Like you kind of get away in geography and stuff with that, whoever. But the love for a topic comes from the passion of someone else, usually, and someone whose ability to invest in you.
Yes.
To build that passion.
Definitely.
And so that's why I was like, if I can be that for 5 kids, I believe that arithmetic and mathematics are a pathway to understanding the world and the ability to problem solve and actually deal with challenges, because you don't get it the first time and you don't get it the second time, but after the 50th time you get it. And that's why I think if you can help in that space, it's a really powerful way to empower the next generation versus just like, here's a bunch of content, talk to the AI.
Yes. Did you have a good maths teacher? Is
I
that
did.
why
in
you
year 8.
feel like, okay, in year 8
Yeah, he was an engineer and he was ambidextrous. So he used to write on the board with his left and right hand at the same time. And I was like, wow, this guy's incredibly intelligent, but spent so much time and passion on the kids, and then it just flowed through into everything now. Like I would not be here today.
Oh, I love that.
So
what does he do these days?
Still a maths teacher.
Really? At the same school?
Yeah.
Oh, you should pay him a visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll shoot him a message.
Yeah.
What about you? What would you do if you weren't running a marketing agency?
And it's today?
Today. Like you had to make a decision today to go and do something. Where would you go?
I think, I don't know. I consider myself a risk taker, and then I also consider myself, a sequential when I see risk, take it in small doses, but I don't know. Everyone perceives it a little bit differently. If I was to consider where I would be next, I think I was very passionate about the marketing product side of things. So I think that would supersize. I think I would be trying to get a job probably at like one of the LMVH, wait, did I say that right? LVMH brands. So whether if it's Tiffany's or Louis Vuitton, I'd be trying to get into a high up role within the marketing department for one of those, potentially like leading big groups. I could see myself going there. And if that meant that I was based in Paris or New York or London, I would go do that. Because I think that would be a really big challenge. But also I feel like I would be surrounded by really amazing people who have built such beautiful legacy brands. I could see that if I was to, be myself today and be, what's that, like 10 years experience in the industry and heart for digital, but also heart for just making big things happen, that's where I think I would be.
Cool. How would you do it? How would you get in the door there? Because that's a dream role for everyone. What would your approach be?
Relationships, 100%, in terms of being able to form and build different connections of people that are, I guess, in that industry to get started. I think relationships is always a great entry point to being able to get a job. And I think a lot of people listening to this will also agree. A lot of their job roles that they might be in right now is because of someone that they knew or a very close association to someone that they knew. And so I think that carries a lot of weight and is where I would put my energy. I also think there's something around being able to demonstrate works. Like if you can start doing, or put a piece of work forward for them, even if you don't have the relationship, I feel like that's a great way to stand out. And I'd be doing everything to stand out as well.
I think one of your hidden superpowers is being able to build relationships with people because you go, okay, I want to know that person. And you do it. I don't know if you know exactly how you do it.
No,
but you are incredible at it. It's like Von will be like, I saw that person 4 years ago and I said, I really want them in my life. And then 2 years later, they're in your life.
It's really bizarre. I honestly, I'll do some thinking, but I really don't know if I have a formula. And that's probably the best part because I'm not behind the scenes creating a master plan. I am really inspired by that person. I don't know. And then naturally there's an interest or I also feel like Australia is actually kind of small.
It is small.
It does actually round about pretty quickly. So I don't know if it's just a bit of a luck thing or if it's,
I feel like there's something in that conversation that I'd love you to share at some point. Well, maybe we'll bring it to another podcast. But I think if you can do some more thinking around some of the principles maybe that you take when it comes to bringing people into your life that are powerful influences of who you are, it doesn't happen by chance.
Yes. You know what? I think I create opportunities for them, potentially.
Okay. Talk to me more about that.
Like I think of different people that have been brought into my life that I'm very thankful for. And a lot of it's just on a friend level, not for anything professional. Yeah. But it was like, hey, they would be great for this. I'm just going to inform them that this could be something that they could do.
Yeah.
And like bringing them different opportunities or even just, sending someone something nice to say. It's like they might not get something nice said about them that day. And it's really nice. And then all of a sudden they feel really warmed by that sentiment that you made about them. I also think as well, like thinking about the different events that you want to partake in that will get you closer to where you want to be because of, I guess, the people that then could be at those events as well. And even if it's not the person that you're thinking of, it could be 1 to 2 to 3 removed. But then before you know it, then that, like what you said, that 2 years goes on and then you are actually a lot closer than you think, if that makes sense. And I also think proximity is a really big thing as well. Of course, if you want to meet someone in Perth, for example, it's going to be kind of hard if you're based in Sydney. So it's like, how could you actually be maybe closer to those locations more frequently so that then those circles get closer? I honestly, like I said, it's not like I go, all right, this person and this is my backwards plan. It's very much it's kind of like you make a vision board and then you forget about it. I feel like it kind of exists like that. It just kind of naturally comes to life.
I feel like when I compare your your principles to other people, it's like you're going to shoot enough shots that one of them will land at the right area. You're like shooting at like you have an idea of where it's going to hit, but you don't have an exact plan, but you take the shots.
Yeah.
And the first 5 might miss, but the 6th hits.
Yes.
And you're like, cool. And everyone else goes, oh, wow, Von's so successful. It's like, well, actually, it's like you're putting in the work to get that to happen. And it's like your tolerance to risk is much higher.
Okay. Well, I think success leaves clues as well. So that's where the risk for me, I never feel like I'm taking that big of a risk because I've seen it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm like, oh, I can see that this person has run a digital marketing agency. If it's right there, just get close to it. Like, and that's where I feel like I actually, in my head, don't think that I'm a risk taker, but I guess to others that may be different. So that's something, I guess, it's a good takeaway, getting close to that and understanding what people do, what they get up to. But also at the same time, I'm like, if I don't meet a person, I have no ups or downs about it. It's just whatever energetically makes sense.
Great.
Cool. I hope that helps. And then Sam, I want to hear a little bit more about your research strategy, because if there's someone that knows everything about everything, it is, in my opinion, yourself. You just have such a great ability of being so well versed. What do you do for research? How do you come to your conclusions?
Here's a indicator. How many hours a day do you think I spend in research mode? Like, if you were to what do you think it takes to be?
I think maybe, and I think a really cool thing is that when we're able, so obviously we have areas that we're at work, we're doing different things, but there is such a big part of our weeks where everyone has like their alone time to have like an alone advantage in what they're trying to achieve, whether it be for physical fitness or for research or for whatever it is. Like, that period of time is actually a really powerful time for you to be very intentional. And so I believe that you research maybe 2 hours a day.
I reckon I spend about 6 hours a day in research mode.
Wow.
Like, if I was to actually like boil it back. Okay. And research comes in different forms. For me, it's like I find topics that I'm interested in and I go deep on those for 2 hours, and then I'll passively consume. Like, for example, when I'm cooking dinner, I have a podcast on. When I'm driving to work, there's a podcast playing on targeted interests for me, particularly around business, so that I'm building my tacit knowledge of, okay, I've seen this, I've heard this before. What was the outcome? What was the insight? So you'll hear podcasts playing Saturday mornings while I'm going to the grocery store, or at night when I'm cooking dinner. But then again, at work, it's like, okay, I am in synthesis mode all the time. It's like, okay, I'm consuming the learnings from our team. They're asking with problems. What problems are they coming forward? Why are they getting those problems? Okay, how can I solve that problem? That's research. And so, and then now it's like supercharged with, okay, I'm trying to solve this problem. How can I solve it quicker with AI tools, with systems, with processes, with culture changes, with strategies? So I think 6 hours a day, if I was to break down my day, out of the 18 I'm awake, I am in information collection mode. Wow. Which I actually don't think is enough, but that's a...
Yeah, you could probably, we could all use it a bit more, I think, because we want to accelerate. What's your synthesis process? Because you mentioned that you're constantly synthesizing. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? And I know that obviously... No,
it comes back to principles, right? It's like, okay, what is the actual insight? It's not just information. Like, information, there's more information that on the planet than anyone can consume ever. Like, just walk into a bookstore. There's no way you can read all of that information.
Yeah.
But what is the insight? And what would I do differently because of it? So, like, if I listen to something, okay, while I'm listening, it's like, okay, what would I change? What would I change? What would I change? What would I change? Or what am I doing that I should keep doing more of because of that? And so those two questions you have to answer for yourself every time you're researching, or is this like not worth remembering?
It's like a filter system goes through your head.
So that is the synthesis I'm doing. It's like, okay, what action should we change? And that I'm still learning that skill, but it's helpful when you're consuming a lot of disparate information to be able to come together with one synthesized insight to change a behavior.
Understood. And it would help you not just let that information pass you, but grab it, absorb it, learn it, synthesize it, so then you can talk about it synthesized. Does that make sense?
That's the goal. And I think if you do that, take it in your work context. No one wants to listen to a presentation with a bunch of information if it doesn't tell an action.
Yeah.
And so I find that it is probably a trained skill through the work career I've had. And if you're in strategy, it's a big part of the role of a strategist is to do that synthesis. But I find that if you're doing that every day, it's kind of like if you're a PT, you're always going to be thinking about your form and what rep volume and what your schedule is. Whereas like if you're like us, where we're just like, oh, we want to get fit, we just kind of don't think about it as a professional. And so like if you can spend some time to build that muscle, it's an incredibly powerful muscle from every part of your life.
Absolutely. No, I think that's going to help a lot of people. Yeah. Thank you for
sharing. What about you? What's your research process?
Oh, I mean, look, thanks to the AI tools, I think that's obviously a really great place to just kind of like let your prompts that you put it in go wild and get some initial thoughts and reads. But a lot of the time I like to contest the AI as being like, oh, we can get better than that. We can get more nuance than that. It's not good enough. You know, I do try and think critically from it, if that makes sense.
What are you seeking?
It depends what I'm looking for or what I'm trying to achieve. I think a lot of the time it is actually, honestly, probably back to the fundamentals of like the structure of how something should be. So like if I want to structure out a communication plan regarding a particular onboarding or a particular change, I'm like looking for the most like sequential way to go about things, because I think I'm more of a creative brain at heart, to be honest, where we lead creative, where we go super wide and let things flow. And like I'm someone that loves getting deep into the research side of, say, if we're going performance marketing, like ad libraries from across the world, across different industries, different creatives. Like I get so immersed in that side of the coin, which I think is a strength as well, because I come with different unique perspectives that aren't just looking at, say, Wollongong plumbers. I'm looking at what are the plumbers doing in Southern California versus what are they doing in like the richest parts of London. Like I go to that nuance and that ability to be able to get different perspectives. But then when it comes to the structure, that's what I actually use, I guess, these AI tools to like give it in a way that is probably digestible by most of the population.
Cool. And so you struggle with, I guess, bringing it back to insights. Is that your biggest issue, and like prioritizing, or you're cool with that?
No, I'm good with the insights. Like I can look at something and be able to discern what the takeaway is. I don't need it to input that to me, although I can use it there and again to kind of see if there's something I'm missing, or I might use the prompt being like, these are all the things that I'm seeing. Am I missing something? Which I really like that prompt because it will bring me something that I'm like, oh, cool. I'll add that in the mix of it as well. So it can elongate the thought, but I don't think you should use it as much for insight and recommendation because you might lose that critical thinking skill. For me, yeah, I would say I use a lot of the AI for structure because I think I have a different brain that doesn't go to structure first. But a lot of the way that we advance people is through having a good structure.
Yeah.
So do that. And then other research, I mean, of course, Pinterest, getting lost in different forums. I think being able to use different, like people will show you and tell you what they think, whether if it's through a Google review or through an online group, like just getting data sets. I also love YouTube as well. I think that's a really great place to get a lot of knowledge. TikTok even.
Yeah, I think like
right?
social media content consumption is just research.
Yes.
We can justify
we tell
that
ourselves
way.
as we scroll through the
Anyway, that's our brains. You've just got our approach to research. So how many hours a day?
I mean, I love the research time. Look, equally, whether I could probably be a bit more like advanced with what I detect, because sometimes it's just passive, like you said, but maybe not with a lot of structure. So maybe 3 to 4 hours every day is probably my time. But like you said, it could be in between meetings. I'm probably just filtering different things or spending dedicated time.
Yep.
3 to 4 hours.
Cool. Amazing. Well, today's been a great podcast. I've had a good time chatting with you and keen to play with DeepSeek and see how it plays out. Go and give it a go and let us know what you think, and unless you're concerned about security risks. Definitely. Let's wrap it there.
Well, one more is Perplexity AI. That's been a recent AI tool that I've been using as well. I think it's what did you call it? A LLM? Language learning model.
Large language model.
Damn it. Large language model. Sorry. But good, because maybe people didn't know what LLM meant.
Yeah.
That one's been really good if you want to like get a whole ton of different sources. I also like clicking on it when it says ask me anything, whatever it says. Clicking on it, it'll give you a bunch of topics that you might want to learn about or what's happening in the world that day. And I think that's really cool because I probably wouldn't have put that prompt in, but yet I'm getting all this knowledge quite quickly and with a whole bunch of different sources. So check out Perplexity AI because that's been quite a cool surprise at how useful that has been.
Amazing. Good stuff. All right, well, see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.